very pleased to bring the general manager of the Winnipeg Jets into the show. We'll bring him in. Kevin Cheveldayoff joins us on the Athletic Hockey Show on this Monday. Chevy, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Almost didn't get me. We're having some technical problems here, but figured it out.
Okay. Hey, we're gonna try a nice icebreaker question because I covered the Senators, Julian covers the Flames. We want you to feel comfortable here. When's the last time Kevin Cheveldayoff dressed up for Halloween?
Wow, that's a good question. I'm not even sure. It's been so long since I had that, but people will probably say, I dress up all the time for Halloween. But
come on,
it's a good question. I can't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, we were talking about it because we were talking about we're talking about general manager interaction stories, and then I discussed the story I had with Julian Breezewell that involved Halloween costumes. So and then it got to a whole other discussion about whether or not a general manager could actually show up to his office and wear a Halloween costume on Halloween.
And the answer is no.
No, probably not. Probably.
No. Yeah. Exactly. Hey, we're really excited to have you on because I look, you shocked all of us earlier this month when you put together those deals for Mark Scheifele and your goaltender Connor Hellebuyck. And I think just for our listeners and our viewers, I think a lot of people would like to know how, not only how that came together, but the ability to keep that under wraps in an era and an age in which it feels like negotiations or the play-by-play of these things come out all the time. How did you manage to keep that one under wraps so well? Both of those.
I think it's a real testament, I think, to the representatives that I worked with there. Both Connor's and Mark's representatives did a great job in kind of communicating and talking. And we talked a lot. We were very, very, I guess, transparent with them about what we were trying to get accomplished. And they both knew that we were, kind of working on parallel tracks in trying to bring them both back. So I think everyone just respected each other's privacy here, because one could have happened, the other could have happened, neither could have happened, I guess, in reality. But the way it all worked out was perfect. So it's a testament, I think, to the hard work that both the agents Craig Oster and Ray Petkow put in with us and wanted to get these deals done.
It was the intention always to keep both of those players. We know after how last season ended and, Blake Wheeler ended up bolting for greener pastures. People were wondering if this roster was going to be on the verge of a rebuild, if Connor Hellebuyck was going to be in a different city, if Mark Scheifele was going to have to go somewhere else. Was the intention in your mind always to have those guys in the fold going forward? Was there a moment where you realized, okay, maybe we could make something work to get assets for these guys? Or were you always thinking to keep them as Winnipeg Jets?
Well, I think it really goes back to the draft, and we obviously we made a trade to acquire Gabe Vilardi, Alex Iafallo, and Rasmus Kupari. I think right there, I think that kind of sent a message to our group that we're in this to try to keep on winning here. We believe we've got some real good players here that we wanted to surround with some experience as well. So getting those three players really changed, I think, the look of our forward group, gave us some depth and dimension that maybe we didn't have. Obviously, we made the choice to buy out Blake and move on, in that regard, and obviously that opened a clear path for us, to name Adam Lowry as our captain and solidify our leadership group, with Josh Morrissey and obviously Mark Scheifele as well. And when it came time to begin training camp, I had an opportunity to meet both players individually, face to face, and we sat there, talked about the team, talked about the past. Obviously, they were both here in the 2017, 18, 19 years where we had a team that we believed could have even gone farther than the conference finals that we did in 17, 18, and we talked about the future, and we talked about some of the prospects within the organization and just the thought process and how we wanted to move forward. And I think they asked some questions. We had some candid conversations, but I think it paved the way for us to step up negotiations after that point and try to get something done.
As you mentioned, unfortunately, you had to buy out Blake Wheeler, and he had just a tremendous run in your market. when you sign a Hellebuyck and you sign a Scheifele at that age, how do you, as a group, discuss, down the road? These are great signings now, but how do you, as a hockey operations group, discuss how these contracts age as the players kind of hit their mid-30s?
Well, yeah, that's a great question, because obviously every individual is different. Some players can age and continue to play at certain different levels, and I think you have to look at the individuals. Both Connor Hellebuyck and Mark Scheifele are individuals that take tremendous care of their body, understand their off-season training, know what it takes for them to compete at a high level. On the cutting edge of sports science all the time, looking for different things like that. So again, athletes I think now are know a lot more than they even used to 10, 15 years ago. And I think that's helping them prolong their careers as well. But make no mistake, father time is something that you always have to be cognizant of. But it was important for us to to make sure that we did lock up these individuals, because they're such a big part of what we're trying to get accomplished right now.
The Jets are going to be hosting the LA Kings this weekend. It'll be the first time Pierre-Luc Dubois will return to Winnipeg after he changed sides and went to the LA Kings this offseason. Would like to know, as best as you can detail, what your relationship was like with Pierre-Luc, and we know he obviously wanted to seek another city at the end of the day. But what was your relationship like in dealing with Pierre-Luc while he was a member of the Winnipeg Jets?
It was really great. Pierre-Luc is is someone that obviously was very convicted in his ways, and in wanting to pick his market and do what he wanted to do as a player. And he certainly was on the verge of earning that right, I guess, from being an unrestricted free agent kind of 1 year from when we were talking. But fortunately for us, we were able to make a deal, I think, that makes us stronger as an organization, and with an eye to the future as well, picking up a second round pick as well. We're real excited about Gabe Vilardi. I think for us, and Alex Iafallo and Rasmus Kupari, but Gabe is someone that just started to scratch the surface. He's 24 years old, and is someone that was a high prospect that was dealt some bad hand, with some injuries and stuff like that I think slowed his growth. So for us, we're excited about what Gabe can bring. Alex, is a tremendous, player on the ice, plays with a lot of energy, kind of a Swiss Army knife, and Rasmus Kupari is someone that, again, can really skate. And fits in really well with how we want to play the game. So for us, again, the positives are, I think we're a deeper group, and I like what I see so far.
I have a theory that Kyle Connor is the best kept secret in the NHL, that I don't think enough people understand. When you're talking about the best pure snipers in the game, you think of Matthews and you think of Pasternak, but I don't think his name comes up as often as it should. What's the ceiling for him, do you think, as a goal scorer?
Well, I think, certainly, he's one of those guys that can play with a lot of different guys, and he has some really good chemistry with Mark Scheifele, and hopefully that line of Vilardi, Scheifele, and Kyle Connor can do some great things. But KC is someone that he's got great speed, and he's got good hockey sense, and he can really, like you say, shoot the puck. So it'll be interesting to see, and I hope he can get back to that 40 goal range that he did a couple of years ago. And for us, he's a big part of what what drives our offense. And but I think that, again, he's one of those guys that's just, like you say, quietly gets that job done.
Kevin, you mentioned that the moves you've made this offseason are all to win. I would like to know your honest opinion about how your team compares to other Western Conference squads, like an Edmonton or a Vegas or Dallas as well in that conversation, a Colorado as well.
Yeah, I think we're obviously, we're a group that has to play a certain way, to be successful. And I think that, we're a team that, has a lot of different components in it. It's not necessarily, just one, high-end star or, one high-end defenseman. Certainly we do have the high-end goaltending. But I think, if you look at, how we started off last season and, we were right there for, good 40, 50 games challenging for, the division lead. It all comes down to, you need to play the game the right way. And I think when we do, we're a successful team.
We're about a month away. I think the general managers will have their next sort of GM meetings right around the Hall of Fame weekend there, middle of November.
Yeah.
What's the conversation like amongst your colleagues right now? It feels like, and I can't remember this anytime during the salary cap era, where there's only really 5 or 6 teams that really have a lot of room to operate. And it feels like about 20 to 25 teams basically are at the cap or pretty much close to it. How much is that a topic of conversation amongst your colleagues?
Well, it certainly, comes in to play in a lot of different instances. Obviously, we're on, I think, the third or fourth year of a relatively flat cap, and I think that has its ramifications as well. What you'll eventually see is teams that aren't in LTI may go into LTI once they have injuries. Maybe that frees up some cap space. For different players or different people, the teams to be looking for different players. It is an interesting time, though, and again, to see how many teams are maxed out, going into the season. It is something as a manager here that you have to have meticulous planning, and you have to know the ins and outs. But there's things that you can't control, and that is the injuries and the type of injuries. Again, if it's a shorter term kind of injury, you don't really get any cap relief. So, there are some mechanisms in there to, for kind of player replacements after a period of time. But, to want to try and make changes, that's why so much of your work has to be done during the summer. When, the kind of things are static and you can try and plan your way through some things.
Last one for me, Kevin, on Adam Lowry being captain. You guys did not have a captain last year. You're one of 2 Canadian squads to not have a C. Just curious from your vantage point, why it's so important for you to have one this year and why Adam?
Well, I think, again, last year we went through a phase of transition where we wanted to open up the leadership group, to other players as well. And players, to let them grow and let them see kind of, what kind of capabilities that they would have. Adam is someone that, is just a natural leader. Like the way he plays, the respect that he commands, amongst his teammates, the respect that he commands around the league. It's kind of like, again, he plays the game very honestly. He plays the game, hard each and every night. And I think that respect factor goes a long way. And for us, there's a couple of guys that probably could have, fallen into that same category. Josh Morrissey, and obviously, at that point in time, we didn't have Mark Scheifele signed, but he's a huge part of our leadership group here moving forward. So all these guys were drafted by us. All these guys, came through our development system in some way, shape, or form. And now this is their team. They're here to lead it. And there was 2 very common themes that went through the conversations that I had with Connor Hellebuyck and Mark Scheifele when we were going through the negotiations. One is that they want to win, but 2 is they want to win with this group. And there's a very tight-knit bond amongst the group of players that are here now, and they're hoping to make some noise.
Before we let you go, speaking of tight-knit bonds, I know when you work in a small market city, you need to have that tight-knit bond with your community. And our colleague Murat Atesh kind of sent us a note and said, hey, if you get a chance, ask Chevy about helping out at the Bruce Oak Recovery Center. And I know that anybody who's been in Winnipeg knows that facility has done some wonderful things in your community. And you were part of an event very recently, and I think on a game day, no less. You took some time to go out, and we wanted to just offer you an opportunity to talk about you being part of that initiative.
Well, again, the Bruce Oak Recovery Center is something that, as a community here, we're very fortunate, to have, and it's helping, young men get their lives back, and the wonderful work that they've done is just, it's immeasurable because of this disease that that does try to go after so many young people as well. And the one thing that, again, the tragedy that happened in the Oak family and them giving back selflessly to to help the community, and now setting off plans for the Ann Oak Recovery Center for women. It's special. So again, Scott Oak is someone that has given so much to the game of hockey, Winnipeg, and now helping raise awareness like this it's the least we can do. It was a very special event that we had a gala, or they had a gala, and over half of our players were there as well supporting. Again, it's a cause that is near and dear to all of us, and anybody that wants to learn more about it should go online and take a look, because again, starting from scratch, they've built a very powerful place.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate you sharing that anecdote and also taking a few minutes to chat with us here on the Monday edition of the podcast. Listen, thanks for this. Good luck on Tuesday against Los Angeles, and best of luck the rest of the season.
Awesome. Thanks very much for having me.